It only took me 7 days to sign my first client for my brand new AI-powered service. I didn't have to pre-build anything. I didn't need a website. All I had was a PDF promising what I would do for the client. And in this video, I want to show you step-by-step on how I did this using Claude and AI, so you can stop overthinking and stop planning and just sign some clients. Now, most people are using Claude and AI completely wrong. They're using it like a chatbot, asking questions, getting answered, but they're only using 5% of its full potential. And I want to show you a way where you can use Claude and have AI agents do all the sales for you, from figuring out what to sell, building your prospect list, and also what you're even writing in the outbound messages. Now, this strategy not only works for me, but also my clients as well. Sandy, for example, works a full-time 9-to-5 job as a sales manager, and she was able to get her first high-ticket AI automation client within the first week of working with me using what I'm about to share with you. We're entering a rare opportunity where it's now possible to build a profitable one-person business by yourself and an army of AI agents just doing the work for you. And I want to begin this video by explaining why most people struggle so hard when it comes to signing clients. Now, I've literally talked to hundreds of people, especially people who are starting out, maybe they have a 9-to-5 job and they want to start a business and sign some clients, right? And here are the common pitfalls that I commonly see. Number one, they have perfectionism syndrome. So they're like, oh, I can't put this out. I can't reach out to anyone until I build the perfect thing. But I've learned they use perfectionism as a cope because they're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid to look stupid. And it really just comes from insecurity. So you have to get over that hump and understand the first outreach you do, the first piece of content you make to attract your ideal customer is just not going to be good. Second problem people have is they waste way too much time building, right? They're overbuilding, and the overbuilding is really just compensation for insecurity. So these are people who maybe get into the AI space, for example, vibe code something for 3 months, not make any money, and then they try to sell it and nobody wants to buy it and they just wasted like 5 months of their life, right? So don't be that person. You have to be able to sell before you build. And the last thing is people are just completely lost. They don't know what to sell. They don't know who to sell it to. And even if they committed to a direction, they don't know if it's going to be worth their time and energy, right? So how do you know if your product and service is good on day one? What if you waste your time reaching out to all these people and you just never had a chance to book a meeting to begin with? Now, this isn't all doom and gloom because the solution to this is finding problems to solve. When it comes to getting clients, your success is determined by the difficulty of the problem that you solve. The bigger the problem, the more difficult it is, the more money people will pay you to solve that problem. So where people make mistakes is they just randomly come up with an idea based on their own experience and they try to force it into the market, but in reality, nobody wants to buy it. So instead of pushing your idea into the world, why not take the opposite approach and figure out what problems exist, especially problems that rich people have because they're able and willing to spend to make that problem go away, and just solve that. So what is the mindset when it comes to solving a problem? It's pretty simple here, right? Basically, if you're trying to sell to a business owner, for example, they're gonna have a current situation where they're stressed, maybe their profit margin's low, they need to make more money, they need to cut costs. They all pretty much have the same problems, right? Now, on the other end, you have desired outcome. What do they want? They want to make money more easily, bigger profit margins, a bigger business, higher revenue, all the good stuff, right? So the question then becomes, how do you help them get to where they already want to go? And this is where your unique vehicle comes into play. So whatever it is that you're selling, it doesn't matter if it's an AI thing, a service, whatever, you need to be clear on how your specific sale, your product or service, gets them from where they are to where they want to go in the safest way possible. And you might think, okay, this sounds simple, right? But the problem most of you guys are facing is that you're selling the same thing as everybody else, which is why nobody wants to respond to you, because you're literally like another Honda Accord or something, right? But you want to be positioned as the Range Rover or Lamborghini, okay? So how does this work? For me, and how I was able to get my first client within 7 days of creating a brand new offer with no proof or anything like that, was I used my unique skills and knowledge. Right? You want to think about what is your unfair advantage, because everyone has one. And yes, you can say, I have a YouTube channel, I have a LinkedIn following, which I built over the years. I have a lot of experience in tech because I used to be a tech sales rep, coaching, consultant, been doing it for a long time, right? I've been putting in the years of my life to learn these skills and learn about these industries. So that is my unfair advantage. So if you think about yourself, like what have you been doing your entire life? If you don't have any unfair advantages, then you better start learning to get some, right? So for me, when I was graduating from college, I didn't know anything about anything. And the first thing I did was get a tech sales job so I can learn how to sell. Then I used that particular skill set to start my first online business. So even if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you probably have some kind of skill because you're getting paid to do something. So maybe start there when it comes to your unfair advantage. And you want to match that unfair advantage with what the market is hungry for, okay? So for me, when I'm creating a brand new offer and I'm trying to see what I should sell, I can, because my unique background, I could say, hey, I can help people break into tech sales, especially during this time with massive layoffs, right? It's high value skill. I can help crypto founders build their personal brands because I have a lot of experience in crypto and NFTs and content creation. Or I can help coaches who have a lot of followers on Instagram, for example, grow on YouTube, right? Because I have a big YouTube following. And the reality is I can make up any service tomorrow, probably sell it within 7 days because I understand this process and understand when you do sell service, all of these things can be powered by AI. We're moving into an era where everything is AI, where even if you're doing copywriting, you can still use AI to do the majority of the work, okay? And when you're coming up with offers and you're thinking about, okay, like what kind of skill or experience can you sell? What you need to do is you need to download my offer validator Claude skill, okay? So this is a download, check the link in the description so you can get this, and I'm gonna show you how to use it. But using this Claude skill, we're gonna help you find the intersection between your skills and knowledge with where the market has high demand, low supply. As a bonus, I'm gonna give you my list building Claude skill where a bunch of AI agents will find a list of potential ideal customers for you with you just literally pressing a button, okay? So again, if you want these Claude skills that I'm about to show you, check the link in the description and you can download it, install it into your Claude within 30 seconds. So to use this Claude skill, all you have to do is type in /PD and then use the offer validator, right? So if you just press enter, what will happen is it's gonna run the skill. It's gonna say, let's validate your offer. We're gonna do some deep research. And then the first thing it's gonna ask, do you have any special advantages in your particular industry or space? Again, we're matching your skills, knowledge, and experience with what the market actually wants. So for this example, I'm gonna say, hey, I work at a company, I manage a CRM, I figure out ways to make money using the leads that they already have, right? So you just put in like your skill sets, background, anything that makes you interesting and what industry you want to go after. And then what's going to happen is it's going to validate whether this idea makes sense. Okay, so here, once you put in your information, it's going to create a report for you to say, hey, based on your idea, I'm gonna give it a 36 out of 100 on how good this opportunity is. So it will give you ideas of like, okay, like where's the opportunity? What's your offer? What are your advantages? And then it will rank like, okay, like how big is the demand? Are people making money with this thing? Is it competitive? How long will it take for you to get your first client? And so it gives you all the pros and cons and kind of an analysis, right? Not only that, but it's going to give you the pricing of what other people charge as well. So a lot of times, you know, most people struggle with their offers and getting clients because their positioning is completely off. They're trying to sell something that everybody else is selling. It's not competitive. There's no unique advantage. So no matter how many LinkedIn messages or cold emails you send, you're not going to get any responses purely because positioning is off. You might have the perfect template, but it's not going to work unless you have good positioning. I also coded it up so that if you use this, you're gonna find the best ways to reach out to your potential clients, whether it's like LinkedIn, cold email, Upwork, whatever makes sense for your particular sale. And then it'll give you a recommendation on which platform you should be building on, your personal brand, and also outreach. And it even comes with a 90-day plan for you to sign your first client. And again, you can use the Claude skill that I literally just showed you using the link in the description. I made it for you guys for free. Now, when I signed my first client and I was trying to figure out the offer, this is the exact process I went through, okay? I cannot tell you exactly what my offer is, but just know it's for B2B businesses, helping them around personal branding, okay? I'm not telling you because I don't want, you know, more competition after you watch this video. But anyways, I ran my offer through this process and I tried to find angles that would make me unique, down to which industry I'm targeting, what exactly I'm offering, whether I should provide full-on done-for-you services or if it's just helping them from a coaching capacity. You know, really looking at like where I can provide the most value and where there's the highest demand and lowest supply, right? Which is why I don't want to, you know, reveal exactly what I'm doing, because right now what I'm doing has high demand, low supply. It's very easy for me to get meetings with these businesses, and I want you guys to also find your own little pocket and exploit it and, you know, reap the benefits of that. Now, if you want the complete training on how to create your offer from scratch, how to generate leads and meetings with clients and build your personal brand so that clients come to you, and also how to close them for high ticket deals, make sure to check out my free training where I cover this from A to Z on how you can do this, all powered with AI. And this is especially useful if you are working a 9-to-5 job or if you're just starting out and you're really just getting your feet feet wet in getting into this whole online and AI space. And the reality is we're entering an era where most people are going to be replaced by AI. So either you get replaced and you're just in a bad situation, or you lean into it, learn how to use it so that you can come out on top. So again, if you want that free training on how to do all of this, I put a link in the description for you to check out. So once you figure out, okay, what exactly is your offer? Is there demand there? Is it worth it to put your time and energy into this? The next step is to build a list of your dream clients. List building is so important that it's the difference between someone making a lot of money and their first client within 7 days and someone who tries for months and months and gets no traction, okay? The mistake most beginners make is they spray and pay, right? So the noobs, they build these lists of thousands of companies. Maybe they use Apollo or whatever to build like 10,000 gyms in America, right? And they still get no responses after hitting all these guys up. And the second mistake they make is they automate way too soon, right? They're so lazy. They don't want to do anything manually. They use a template and they try to get AI to like fill it in, and it just doesn't work. If you can't get a meeting manually, you're definitely not going to get it in an automated way. So what should you do instead? What we did is we just made a list of 100 dream companies, businesses that we wanted to work with, right? So we just manually sat down and thought, okay, who is our ideal customer that we want to sell to? And in the beginning, when we started doing outreach, we didn't even have a list of 100. We literally had maybe, I would say 30 people on that list, which we made in a day. But we clearly defined their pain. We understood their desired outcome. We understood their biggest challenges, preventing them from achieving their goals. And I strategically wrote my messaging in a way where I looked like the most obvious choice to solve all their problems. So with that list of 30 people, we just started outbounding really, and people responded, and we got on a meeting with them, and I just sold them and closed the deal like, you know, literally like 1 day after the first sales call. Now, if you want to build your list of your dream 100, the best way to do it is actually to find signals. What that means is you're identifying key signals that would increase the chance someone would want to book a call with you today. Not 1 or 6 months from now, but like today, right now, they have a burning problem. So depending on your sale, you're gonna have different signals. Sometimes your signal is you're gonna work with people who have a big email list. Maybe they have to have a certain amount of followers on LinkedIn, X, Twitter, or YouTube. Maybe they actively complained on Twitter about a specific problem that you solve. Or maybe you check their website and they don't have like a chatbot, for example, right? Another example could be, hey, a creator's really big, but they don't run any webinars, so they only run sales calls, right? So next, I'm gonna show you how to use AI to basically build a very specific targeted list just using Claude alone. You don't need anything else, of people who would be a perfect fit for your offer. We're gonna use a Claude skill called the list builder skill. And again, use the same link in the description if you wanna use this for yourself in Claude. Takes 30 seconds to install. So when you use a skill, you just tell it what your offer is, you tell it who your ideal client is, and then any specific signals that you're looking for. Bonus points, if you already had some sales calls and you recorded it, give it that as well so it can clearly identify who you're trying to target. So how you want to use this skill is once you install it, you can press /PD list builder, and then you just tell it what your offer is, and who you're trying to target, right? So I already wrote something ahead of time. And in this example, I want to build a list of 10 LinkedIn creators who have a lot of followers, but they don't run webinars. So I want to sell them the idea that, hey, let me handle your entire webinar. I'll take a percentage of revenue. You already have an audience, so it's a win-win situation, right? So once you do this, you just press enter and you just watch it work. Now, as it works, I'll explain the idea of sales agents, okay? So there's a lot of buzzwords around like, oh, AI agents doing the work for you, right? And an agent really is just AI doing work. So even if you're just using the chat feature, which I am now, it's not even co-work, right? You can do co-work as well. I will use co-work, but for this example, I'll use chat. The agent is really just the AI using the skill that you gave it. Ideally, once you use my skill, you want to keep improving it so that your skill and your Claude understands your ICP really well, and it just gets better and better at finding your ideal clients. All right, so don't think of it as just like install and done. It's an iterative process, and your advantage is just how well you train your Claude to find these people. Okay, so basically as I ran the skill, what's gonna happen is it found me these creators with these signals that I mentioned earlier, right? I want only creators with, 20K plus followings, recent posts, 200 likes, verified email newsletter, right? High ticket offer, that's 1K or more, and do not run a webinar. So it's just gonna check their LinkedIn and their website and everything to find a list of people that do not run run webinars, okay? And then it disqualifies other people's who, don't fit the ICP. Then it's gonna give you basically an Excel file where you can open it up and then see who these people are, right? So if you use the skill, I designed it already for you to like do this all with a press of a button. So as you can see here, it has the creator name, LinkedIn profile, their niche, location, followers, and then it tells you like how it's scoring it. So it even gives you like, okay, like what are they selling? What are the price points? How they currently sell it. So this guy does it through DM setting. And then it offers a potential angle if you were to reach out to him, right? And if you did use AI for your outbound messaging, you would definitely use these angles in there. And then if you're curious, you can check out the scoring guide so like how the AI is scoring these leads. And then also, it's saying like anything in green is good, yellow, it's like, it's all right, red, it's probably don't waste your time. So this list it's giving me, it's like mostly green, some yellow, some red. So then you would say, okay, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy. You go back to the AI and say, okay, cool. I like what you did. These particular people, I want to build more lists like them. Build me a list of 100 people like that, right? So you start small, adjust it a little bit, make sure the AI understands what you're looking for, and then you go bigger. So when I did this, we built a list of just 30 people, right? And then when we started getting meetings, we understood, okay, like this kind of person is our ideal customer. So then we went back to Claude and then we just built a list of hundreds of people that fit that ICP and we started reaching out to them, right? So this way you don't have to click around on Sales Navigator and check if it's a good fit. Like let AI do all the work, right? When I used to be a sales rep in Silicon Valley, I used to have to sit down and do this manually, clicking buttons like half of my day. So what used to take me 4 hours now takes me 15 minutes, right? It's crazy how much AI has changed the game for one-person businesses. Now, real quick, when it comes to deciding which platform you should be spending your time on and doing outbound on, I would say this. You start with your warm referrals first, friends of friends, family, network, places where you worked before. Don't think it's cringe. That's really just your issue. If you think it's cringe, just ask. It's fine, right? If they say no, who cares? You move on. Now, once you tap out your existing referrals, you basically just go use the platform where your ideal client is most likely to respond. Whether it's LinkedIn, cold email, Upwork, Facebook groups, school communities, it doesn't matter. It just depends on who you're selling to, right? Now, my personal recommendation, if you were to pick one, is go to your network and referrals first, because those are going to be the easiest, and then go on LinkedIn, right? So most of my clients, I tell them to go on LinkedIn first. And it's so simple, right? All you have to do is post 5 pieces of content per week and connect with 200 people per day that fit your ICP. How do you find those 200 people? Use the skill list builder that I gave you, and you just connect with them and send them a DM, right? It's simple as that, right? And when I got my first client for the AI powered service I was telling you about, I would just connect with people. I get about a 45% connection acceptance. That's my personal stat. And then I just have a conversation in the DMs and I get them on the call, which I'll show you in a second. This not only works for me, but I'll share with you my clients like Brian, for example. He used his existing network to get to close to 10K per month, helping B2B companies manage their UGC campaigns. Sean, he landed multiple AI clients just from LinkedIn content and talking to people in his network. Yvonne did LinkedIn content, DMs, and she didn't really use a warm network. She actually just reached out to a bunch of people selling coaching, right? So this process, it works for a lot of people. And if you're not really sure, I would just say, just go on LinkedIn, right? It's like really high demand, low supply right now. Even so, let's say you did choose LinkedIn as a platform. The next question you might have is, okay, Patrick, but how do I even write my messages? What do I say in there? How do I get them on a call? And how do I close them? Let's write about these outbound messages. The common pitfalls when it comes to outbound is most people blame the template, right? If I give you a template, you'll say, oh, Patrick, it doesn't work. How's that true when it works for me and it works for my clients? So just because the template worked for another offer, understand that it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because you have to properly position yourself in the right way and adapt it to your offer so you're different. Second thing is, a lot of people send one campaign and they're like, oh, like nobody responded to me. And then I'll ask like, okay, how many people did you reach out to? 50. And I'm like, bro, it's not enough, right? So 1, you need to get your positioning right. And 2, you need more volume. Okay. Number 3, a lot of people think they need a big personal brand to get responses. That's not true. All the clients I gave you earlier, like Sean, Yvonne, Brian, they all didn't have big audiences. In fact, they pretty much started from 0. So you don't need a big personal brand to sign one client, okay? Now, as I go into what we're gonna say in the DMs, understand that every platform has different nuances, okay? Like cold email is not exactly the same as a LinkedIn message, which is not exactly the same as a Facebook message and you hit someone in a group. They all have their own nuances, but the fundamental psychology of how you approach it is going to be the same. For this example, we're gonna use LinkedIn because it's just my platform of choice and it's where most of my clients get the easiest results. So the outreach framework is this. You wanna start with some kind of pain combined with DIQ. And DIQ is just data, insight, and question, right? You point something out, you have some insight or observation, and then you ask a question to get the person to respond. Once they respond, you dive deeper into what is their desired outcome, right? So what do they want? And two, what are their biggest challenges that prevent them from getting them to where they actually want to go? AKA, agitate the pain. What is the problem that they cannot solve? Once they admit they have a problem, instead of you solving that problem on the DMs, you just suggest a call where it feels like, hey, this guy's offering some kind of free advice, but they kind of know you're going to sell them something. So this is the framework that I usually run. An example is, let's say we're hitting somebody up on LinkedIn. Okay, so if I were to use the pain, data, insight, which I have used versions of this to get the first client I was telling you about, it's like this. We're gonna assume I'm gonna sell some kind of webinar services, right? So, hey John, saw your last newsletter on XYZ and it hit hard, man. So that's, directly referencing something from his newsletter so you sound like a human, right? By the way, I've been on your email list for a while and I noticed that you aren't running any webinars right now. I know for people like you and in your industry, it's one of the most effective ways to monetize right now, especially if you're already selling high ticket over calls. I've actually helped this person with theirs, and I was curious to know if it's something you ever looked into. Okay, so you can make it shorter, you can have different variations, right? But the main thing is you're agitating a pain. You're basically saying, hey, like you could be making more money, but you're missing out. All these other guys are making more money. Like you should be doing this too. So from like the prospect's perspective, they're gonna think, oh, like you help these people make money. I know those people, or I heard of those people before. Okay, well, it's kind of worth having a conversation. Now, if you don't have any clients, just don't have that part where you're including clients, right? This message shows that you did a little homework, you kind of understand their business, and you're just not like a bot, right? So once the person responds, you basically wanna have their desired outcome and where they're currently at, and you spread it as far apart as you can, right? And you put a lot of challenges in the middle. So if they say, oh yeah, that's pretty cool that you do that, and then they don't really say much, then you can ask a follow-up question like, okay, cool, just curious, why haven't you given it a shot yet? I mean, like you already got the audience, kind of makes sense for you to do a webinar, and then you're kind of subtly agitating the pain, and you're gonna make them feel like, well, I was thinking about it, but I just wasn't really sure, or I didn't know how to do it, or I know a lot of people make money with that, but I just don't have the time. Right? So they're going to put all their challenges on why they can't do it. Then you just kind of ask them like, was that something you're looking into? Did you actually want to do it? Or is it just like something you've been thinking about? And then you kind of get to know their situation a little bit more, and you might find that, hey, maybe they do want to do it, but they just haven't found the right partner to do this with. So once they admit they have a problem, instead of you solving it, you could say, all right, man, well, hey, if you're up for it, how about I share what's working for our clients right now, and we can kind of explore if we can help you out. If that sounds good, I'll send over my calendar. And if the person's actually interested in webinars and you seem legit and you're a nice person and your LinkedIn profile is somewhat optimized, they will take the call because it's almost like free consulting. And of course, on the call, you're gonna consult them a little bit, but really your goal is to sell them. Now, alternatively, besides just doing DMs, you can also send them a Loom video just explaining, hey, this is what I can do for your business. Let's jump on a call, right? So when I closed that first client for my AI powered service in B2B, I did a process similar to this, but I just included a Loom video. And I said, hey, I made a breakdown of what I can do to help you with your personal brand and things like that. Mind if I send it over? And then they said yes. And then after they said yes, I made the Loom video, I sent it to them, kind of following this format. And then they were like, oh, I love it. Let's go, let's book a call, right? And then I got them on a call and I sold them. Now, if you're curious, on the call itself, it's pretty simple. You just ask them, what's your goal? They tell you the goal. Then you ask them, okay, where are you currently at? Then they explain that, desired outcome, current situation. And then you say, okay, well, what's stopping you from getting to where you want to go? And they will give you all the challenges. So then after they give you the challenges, all you need to do is just say, hey, I might be able to help you with that. Here's how I can solve the challenges that you just told me. If they believe you and they can clearly, logically, and emotionally see like, oh dude, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. He can solve the problem that I'm looking for. How much does it cost? Right? That's pretty much how all my conversations go. And then afterwards, for a lot of B2B deals, they don't close on like that call right there because they just met you, right? They usually say, oh, I need to think about it. Got to talk to my business partner, all that kind of stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, cool. Let me send over a proposal. Let's set up another time to talk. And then we finalize the details and then move forward. Is that cool with you? And they say, cool. What I do next is I put together a simple PDF, I send it to them, and then I schedule the next call, okay? For this one, I'm giving you the exact template that I give to clients to close them. I've even used this exact thing to close public companies as well for other type of consultings and previous offers. So it works. I did change all the information just so that people don't copy my niche essentially, right? Okay, so basically in this offer template, it's just like, okay, these are the challenges we're gonna solve. 1, 2, 3. Here's what we do. Just one sentence. Scope of the work. Usually it's just a couple bullet points, right? And I kind of explain what I do. Then I go into how it works, whether if it's consulting or done for you, it really depends, right? This one, I just said like, okay, like full execution, I do everything. And this is for, the example is a LinkedIn ghostwriting agency, okay? Then a lot of people always have the not objection, but like curiosity of like, okay, like when we get started, what's next? What do we do in the first 30 days? So instead of having to deal with that over the phone, I just put it here. All right, week 1, 2, 3, 4. Client example, usually I'll have a link to their profile if I help them, and then pricing, right? So I just made up a pricing for this example. Let's say it's $3K a month, right? And that's pretty much it. And then I send them the payment link, they pay, and then once they get started, I onboard them and they're good to go. It really doesn't need to be more complicated than that. So I've personally used this like PDF strategy for, deals that are $1,000 a month to a total value of like $90,000 for a deal, right? I find for the most part, businesses don't really care if it's like fancy. They just need to be clear on what is the problem you're solving, how confident are they that you can actually solve their problem, and that's pretty much it. And so now you know the exact process I used to sign my first AI-powered service client within 1 week of starting the offer from zero. And again, like I showed you, you don't need a website. You don't need to build anything until they pay you. You really just need to reach out to people, position your LinkedIn profile well, and just send them this kind of PDF. That's so simple. Now, you could take this and try it yourself, but some of you guys might actually need some extra help to implement all of this and to build your business. Just like how I took Sandy, who was just a 9-to-5 employee, sales manager at an insurance company, and we got her first high ticket client, paying her $3,000 per month within the first week of tackling that B2B niche. Not only that, but we got Sandy to 13,000 YouTube subscribers starting from zero. She didn't even know anything about AI when we started working together. And she's growing at 300 to 600 new subscribers every single day right now. So if you need help developing your business idea and your offer, reaching out and getting your first clients, even building your personal brand so that clients come to you, I highly encourage you to book a time with me and my team where we will map out a custom plan for you to do this as well. I put a link in the description to my calendar, so check it out to book your free clarity call. Now, if you want to watch another video to continue learning, check out this one right here where I show you how to build a profitable one-person business with AI.